So you've got this bizarre moment where the federal government is given a bunch more power and it's given to the executive. And I think that the cherry on the cake for this, or the cherry on the top of the sundae, is 1946 with the Administrative Procedures Act. This is the most unsexy thing in the world, and it is one of the most dangerous things, especially after 1984, because of how weaponized it became. The Administrative Procedures Act was essentially saying that the government would give itself, Congress would give to the executive, broad mandates. Make sure that we have clean air and water. You figure out how to do it. And then they would create this comment period. They would give them sort of a framework, a rubric with which to evaluate how they did their job. But it gave Congress the ability to not do legislation the way that it was supposed to be done. They didn't have to be specific. They didn't have to go through and hammer out the details of what would be funded and how it would be funded and who would do it and what kind of headcount would be there. They just said, here's a certain amount of money. Here is a mission set. Go solve it. Now, in corporate America, that's great because your money is accountable. But you just saw, we just gave the federal government the ability to pull taxes from all people directly. They could independently go and say, we want to take all this money and we're going to do all these things. And by the way, in order to do the next thing, we're going to need more money. This is a leftist absolute dream, by the way. I call it the unfalsifiable premise. It's what happens when you set up the following. If you give me enough power, then I will solve all your problems. And then you come back and you say, listen, you didn't solve all my problems, not even close. I said, well, that's just because you didn't give me enough power and money. I just need more money and power, and then I can solve those problems. And this is a circle that can repeat forever. This is a self-licking ice cream cone. As long as there are problems, and there will always be problems, I can always argue you just didn't give me enough authority. You didn't give me enough finances. You didn't expand my agency big enough to actually quash the issue. And the only thing that you're going to end up losing is all of your money and your civil liberties. You see the issue? This has been going on for a very long time. 1946 is one of those wounds that we'll never be able to heal from until we actually figure out that Congress's job is supposed to be two things. Two separate houses that are supposed to function in the way they were designed. And more importantly, they're supposed to legislate specifically. They are supposed to put these long bills, they don't need to be that complicated, but they tend to be hiding things instead of actually doing the detailed work of legislation. How many people are supposed to be in here? What's the head count? How much money are we authorizing per head? That's not what happens. The APA says that the government itself on the executive branch will propose their ideas. We'd like to ban bump stocks. We're just going to say we can. Why? Because we have a broad mandate to handle alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. And we've decided, in our infinite wisdom, that these things actually are something else.